Chapter 17, Answers. Laren, San Diego. We wanted to go to Karasthea at first, but what good would that do? The emperor controlled every province. All the war generals roamed around. It would be best to return to Nivedon because we knew the terrain and could use it to our advantage in war. When I discussed it with Salvatore, he initially disagreed, but once we encountered another group of the Empire's soldiers and lost almost a fourth of our men, Salvatore agreed. Even Elder Mayandilo agreed. It was disheartening to come back to Nivedon, but Karasthea was a much worse choice for us. And now, after weeks of traveling, we are back home. Destroyed tree houses greeted us, but we knew they could be rebuilt. The problem, though, was the trees that had been uprooted. The tree runners will not be able to care for them, so there is a high chance that the trees will not be saved. It will take many moon turns before Nivedon is restored to how it was, before General Ion Noto came and destroyed the province. But every Niven has taken to rebuilding the tree houses already. It will take at least a week to clean up everything and another month or two to repair the town hall. But at least everyone was already accustomed to this place, and even if the houses were damaged, everyone would be able to sleep well because this place was home to all of them. All of us. Elder Mayon approached, his brows furrowed. "Is there anything you need, Elder?" I asked. "Is the chief hunter around?" He said. "I need to speak to him. I heard from Calo, and it isn't good outside of Nivedon. It really was a good decision to head back here. I can ask someone to go and find the chief hunter, but do you mind sharing with me this piece of information that you were able to gather?" I asked. "Those soldiers' camps that we came across with, they're not the only ones. The Emperor has deployed other bigger groups all over the land. Calo said that the Emperor wants to ensure that no one will join the rebellion. And," he paused. "What is it?" "He has given orders to hunt and kill all Nivens on sight," Elder Mayon said. I paled at what he said, but I should have expected this by now because was it not the same goal that Ion Noto was trying to achieve when he attacked us here? "We need to find the chief hunter. It is important that I talk to him immediately," the elder said. "He walks fast for an old man," this was my thought as I trailed after him. Uncle Salvatore was giving instructions to the other Nivens when we found him. He glanced at us, and when he saw our serious faces, he gestured at the other Nivens to proceed as he walked towards us. "Elder Mayon, Laren, I can see that something's troubling you," Salvatore said. "I have learned the history of Akea," Elder Mayon began. Salvatore smiled widely as though he wanted to laugh, but he refrained from doing so out of courtesy. "You might have read it from the annals in the palace libraries before. I figured that you are someone who spends days and nights reading books," he added in jest. The elder looked oddly at Salvatore. "I like books. There's nothing funny about that." "Chief Hunter," I said. "Let the elder speak. I believe he has something important to tell us." "There are 3 things. I've already shared the first one with Laren, so I will leave it to her to tell you later. The second thing is important that you know because nobody else in the land does," he said. "If nobody else in the land knows, then how did you come to learn of this information?" Salvatore asked. "Someone who lived more than 100 years shared it with me," the elder said. "More than 100 years? No one lives that long anymore," Salvatore said. "A tortoise," Elder Mayon said. I gaped at him, and Salvatore must have too because Elder Mayon continued to explain. "Hear me out. It is a valuable piece of information, and it will explain many things," he said. He cleared his throat the way one does when he's about to sing. Then he began his narration. Long before Northsam ruled the land, he had a daughter. She grew up to be the second to the throne. When she came of age, she was wed, and that person she married was McQuinstorm Aaron. Now, McQuinstorm grew close to the emperor, and the latter was to be seen with his son-in-law most of the time. They would talk about plans for Akea, and it was also believed that McQuinstorm got the chance to meet Micromania. Micromania is a seer, as you all know, and she prophesied that, out of the Niven blood, Akea will rise again. This caused Northsam to worry because he was not of Niven blood. And his daughter was wed to someone who did not have Niven blood in his veins either. And so it was that he connived with McQuinstorm. He faked his death by banishing and going into hiding and entrusting his daughter to his son-in-law. While Northsam tried to understand the meaning of the prophecy, McQuinstorm grew restless, plotting how he could prevent it from happening. By this time, he had felt what it meant to have power over the land. To be at the helm of all decisions, to be revered by the people, and to someone who was not accustomed to such, his ego was so badly fed. In fact, when McQuinn Storm declared Northsam dead, it was Northsam's turn to be surprised. But he was not yet ready to return. When the former emperor was finally ready to reclaim the throne, McQuinn Storm would no longer let him, and by that time, the new emperor was already feared by Akeans. Even the war generals did not dare question him openly. But the young emperor used to be a good man. Yes, he was rough around the edges, and yet he was upright. But power and authority corrupt people easily. And so, McQuinn Storm realized that the only way he could prevent the prophecy from happening was if he annihilated all the Nivens. He tried, but unbeknownst to him, the Nivens survived. When he came back to the Kanelan palace, he thought that he had put an end to the prophecy. He and his wife will rule Akea. But Northsam's daughter gave birth to a son who had green eyes. One look at the boy and McQuinn Storm knew that it wasn't his. This is where it gets interesting, and why no Akeen probably remembers. Northsam's daughter is a scribe of destiny. She can write things and will for them to happen. When McQuinn Storm found out that the boy wasn't his heir, he made his wife write that the Akeens would not remember her, and so she was erased from everyone's memory. The only way for the boy to live was if his power did not manifest, and so his power was bound by Northsam's daughter. As it turned out, this daughter was no other than Lamare Ariston Amark. I stared at the elder in disbelief. The royal scribe is the heir to the throne? I said slowly after a while. Salvatore had yet to speak a word. If Northsam's daughter is Lamare, then that makes Kino. I paused as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place. That makes him a threat to the emperor. Yes, the elder said. And that's why 2 moon turns ago, when his power manifested, the emperor ordered his death. I was too shocked to speak. How could this be true? And yet, it all made sense, the unexplainable hatred of the emperor towards the boy. When I was finally able to speak, I asked, "You said 3. What's the third thing you want to tell us?" Elder man looked worried. As we speak, the emperor's men are already on their way to destroy and kill all Nivens.
Jor Pasap. The soldiers were pouring in from all sides of Nivadan, and it was as though we were set up to be slaughtered on our ancestral grounds. The rebels who joined me at Nivadan were holding the soldiers from the west, but more were coming from the south and the east. The chief hunter was leading his men to fight. They were vanishing into thin air and attacking from all sides, but it was not enough. I looked away briefly to relieve my eyes of the carnage. "Charge!" I shouted. And the rebels pushed forward. The first batch of soldiers attacking us pulled back, and I thought we had a chance, but the hope that started to bloom inside my heart suddenly disappeared when we realized that the soldiers now pushed forward, and this time, their number had even doubled. On the other side of the battlefield, I could not see Salvatore's men. I prayed that it was only because they were invisible. But when I looked at the ground where they had been fighting, I stared at the pile of Niven's bodies washing the dry ground with crimson. All around me, the rebels were getting slaughtered. It would be wise to save those who were still alive by escaping. It was a difficult call because I was not one to back out from war, but it had to be done. "Pull back!" I shouted. I looked for the Niven who stayed behind to guide us through the secret passage. He appeared and signaled the rebels to follow him before turning invisible again. Before running away, I concentrated and then used my power in this battle to shake the earth one last time. The ground cracked, and it erupted, swallowing the soldiers who were nearby. That was at least a distraction. Hopefully, we will be able to escape them now.